Good evening and welcome to the stream. Tonight I'm going to be playing Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I'm going to be starting the first of a series of flights. I'm calling it Travel Tracer. That's kind of the general category of these flights, and this particular one is going to be leg one of Thanksgivingmas in SC, which stands for South Carolina. So recently I traveled to South Carolina where my parents live, and we kind of had both a delayed Thanksgiving and an early Christmas together, because we weren't really going to spend those exact days with one another. So I'm calling that Thanksgivingmas. And yeah, so basically just another note of explanation, kind of my grand plan here is to do these Travel Tracer flights, and basically anytime going forward that I travel somewhere, I'm going to try to recreate the route of my travel and the exact flights, and try to match as closely as I can the planes that I was on, and that kind of thing. And yeah, not only going forward, but also I'd like to try to go backward in time and do some of the flights that I've been on in the past. That will take me forever, probably. I've actually been on 343 commercial flights, and that does not include my flight training. And yeah, I have a log of this that for whatever reason, when I was very young, my dad just he started a spreadsheet, and it's become this log of all the travel I've done in my life, and it's really cool, and I'm lucky to have it. So I'm gonna try to go back through that log, just going backward in time, flying all the different trips that I've done, and all the way back to my very first flight, which was to San Francisco. And I was less than a year old. So that's kind of my grand plan there. I will be matching aircraft as closely as possible on this Thanksgivingmas trip. I was on a CRJ 900 for all 4 flights. And the CRJ in Microsoft Flight Simulator is like $40. That's kind of hard for me to justify, paying. So instead of that, I'm going to be using the citation, but regardless, the first leg of this trip is actually just going to be from Champaign to Bloomington, Illinois, and basically what that kind of represents is the fact that I had to drive from Champaign, where I live, to the Bloomington Regional Airport, where I took off from. There is a regional airport in Champaign that I have gone through before, but generally the flights out of Bloomington are cheaper, and so I usually end up driving there. It's about 45 minutes driving, and tonight I will be making that flight in a Cessna 172, starting in Frasca Field. So here is my flight plan all set up. Basically, I just picked a random gate at Frasca, or not a gate, but a random ramp, and I'm going to another random ramp in Bloomington. I picked Frasca Field instead of Champaign Regional, or University of Illinois Willard Field, I guess is the technical name, just because Frasca is more of the general aviation airport in Champaign. There's really only these 2 airports, and Frasca's, only small stuff. I don't remember the runway length, but it's really quite small. Interestingly, when Flight Sim first released, there were only like 4 or 5 scenery add-ons available for the entire world, and they were things like, I think there was maybe one that was like London Landmarks pack. There was like, San Francisco International Airport, a couple other random ones, but one of those, just 4 or 5, was Frasca Field. And the reason for that, I freaked out. I was like, how is this possible? Frasca Field, it's a tiny, tiny airport. you know, in a pretty small city of 150,000 people. Why on earth would that be in the first offering of scenery packs? And as it turns out, Frasca Field is basically, or not Frasca Field, but a guy named Frasca was basically involved with the invention of flight simulators. I think he was also involved with U of I, the University of Illinois, and so Frasca today is a company. I think it's Frasca International or something like that, and they specialize in building small simulators, so not the big kind for airliners. There's no hydraulics or anything, but it's like small prop plane simulators. And so I'm not sure exactly how it came about, but they were able to, you know, be in the first offering of scenery add-ons. And so tonight I went ahead and bought that. It was $10. You know, if nothing else, I feel like I'm at least supporting a local business there. So that's where I'm starting off. I'll go around, check out that scenery. I don't really have a basis for comparison because I've never flown there before, but you know, just want to kind of check it out. Flight time looks like about 30 minutes. Probably take about 45 minutes for the whole thing, turning on the plane, taxiing, etc. I will point out that I've set the date to December 2, which is when I actually made this drive, and I've set the time to 12:06, which is exactly when I left the house. And you may be wondering, how on earth do you remember that? That was weeks ago. And the reason is I use Google Maps, and Google Maps has a cool feature called Timeline that basically traces where you are at any time. And yes, it's totally Skynet and totally creepy, but I think it's cool to have that record, and I guess I trust Google. Maybe too much, but yeah, that's how I was able to figure out when exactly I left. So, yeah, I'm doing VFR. I think I'll manage the comms myself tonight, and, you know, I maybe should check my volume settings real quick before I get too much further. Check. Okay, yep, that sounds fine. Yeah, so without further ado, here we go. I've been flying in the Citation and Airbus so much recently that I'm so used to using a autopilot that this is actually going to be kind of tricky for me, I think. Just flying manually. I am actually going to try to use Dead Reckoning as much as possible, and what I'm going to do is follow the interstate that goes straight from Champaign to Bloomington. I'm not going to, or at least I'm going to try not to look at my GPS map very much. Okay, so first glimpse of Frasca Field. This is exactly, that runway layout is definitely accurate. Go ahead and get into it. I think before I even start up, I'm going to go ahead and enter the drone camera and just take a look around for a minute. Go. Okay, so let me just get my bearings real quick. Frasca Field. Okay, so this is very cool. Let me increase the drone speed. Okay, so this is Frasca Field, and this is, I mean, incredibly accurate to my knowledge. And I've never actually been to this field, but I've zoomed around on Google Maps all the time. So there's the, paved strip here, and then there's a grass strip going up this way. This building right here is the actual Frasca place, and I think they do both manufacturing of simulators and housing of simulators there. And the fact that there's a truck dock here really indicates to me that, they probably are manufacturing and shipping simulators from that building. Also, the fact that it's a really long building, that generally, to me, indicates some sort of assembly line type of thing going on. But I don't really know for sure. That's just kind of a guess there. Like I said, this is my hometown, so I'm just kind of taking it all in here. In my work, I work as a civil engineer, and Frasca, this is maybe giving too much information, but the owner of Frasca is talking to us about developing these lots right here. So that's definitely a familiar area. This is a Farm and Fleet store that I've been to a couple times. I bought boots there one time. And this is a big auto park, and I actually take my car to get serviced right into a garage door right here. It's a Toyota. I drive a Toyota Camry, and look at that. That's a really nice, really great photogrammetry right here. I mean, look at that. That's an incredible amount of detail. It's called Napleton Toyota. This whole thing is the Napleton Auto Park. So that is just really cool. And look, they even have these display cars here. Very, very cool. And down here is the free car wash you get to go in after you get your car serviced, and it does in fact say car wash right there. Very cool. Okay, so back to the airport. I don't know exactly what scenery was added on. I didn't come here before I got the add-on, so I'm not really sure what's changed. But, some of these buildings do look pretty detailed. It seems like all this, tractor and stuff. Yeah, so you can see this is actually really cool. Let me turn down my drone speed so I don't make you nauseous. But you can see these are actually simulator units right here, and you can tell this is kind of the cab area of a Cessna. This would be the windscreen, and then normally you'd have the propeller out here. So these are units that are, they are simulators. It actually says right there, fragile. So this is obviously a couple of simulators that have been wrapped up and are getting ready to ship. Very cool. Here's the fuel station, which they had a screenshot of this in the purchase, in the content manager. So that's obviously a unique feature that they added by hand. And this right here definitely looks like it was custom built. Got a couple of guys chatting right there. Not sure. It's kind of a weird little. It almost seems like maybe there used to be a plane sitting there. I don't know why there's a fence like that. I'm assuming this is the FBO building. Guess I'm not totally sure. And then we got the hangars down here. And yeah, that's about it. And this might sound ignorant. I'm not actually sure what the purpose of this sort of glyph is. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's interesting though. Might have to look that up later. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and get back in the plane and start it up and get rolling. Fuel valve is open.
Fuel shutoff valve. Open. Brakes. Test and set.
They changed the checklist here. Here, let me bring that up so you can actually see it. There's no option to just say tick item. It's kind of weird. Go ahead and set the mixture to totally rich. I'm not sure how to... I wish I could just tick the item, but I guess...
Mixture. Rich. Carburetor heat. Cold. In. Prime.
I don't know what's really trying to get me to do here. I think you're supposed to do this 3 times.
As required.
Yeah.
Throttle. Open 1/2 inch. Master switch.
Huh, this is kind of cool. Okay. Oh, master switch, what am I doing? It's on. What does it want from me? I don't know what it's trying to get me to do.
On. Ignition. Start. Throttle.
Charlie 16 traffic Cessna November 75649er taking off runway 27 departure to the west. Throttle.
Adjust for 1000 RPM or less.
I hear you.
Oil pressure. In green sector. Flashing beacon and navigation lights.
Okay, they are on.
On as required.
Okay, so we are up and running now. This is really different how they did this. I'm not sure I like it. I wish they would just tell me how to, tell me what to do as opposed to... Whoa, 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 whoa. That's really crazy. I went to the page that says normal takeoff and I clicked autocomplete and it tried to accelerate me to takeoff speed. That is terrible. Why would it do that? That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna close the checklist and just fly the plane from now on. That was terrible. That doesn't really work at all. I'm also gonna take... I don't need any AI control for this one, I don't think. Oops. So I'm gonna take the comm. I am gonna go ahead and put it off screen because you don't necessarily care. But I am going to manage it and
Charlie 16
do what it
traffic
needs to
Cessna
do.
November 75649er taking off runway 27 departure to the west.
So there is no controller here, so I'm just announcing positions. Probably not supposed to go this way, but I'm just gonna have to make it. Make it work. And I believe I'm headed toward runway 27 right here. I haven't heard anybody else on the radio, so I don't think anybody's
Charlie
in the pattern.
16 traffic Cessna November 75649er taking off runway 27 west departure.
We'll go ahead and stop and take a careful look left and right. Looks clear. And looks clear. Do 1 notch of flaps for takeoff. And take the runway. And I'm looking for 50 knots for takeoff. Throttle to 40, let it stabilize, push it up to takeoff speed. And rotate. A little rough. Positive rate, bringing up the flaps. Headed toward 4,200 feet. I'm going to tune to Champagne Approach at this time. I don't know if I have to do a flight following, but
Champagne Approach Cessna November 75649er is type Cessna 152 1 miles west of Charlie 16. Request flight following.
Cessna November 75649er Champagne Approach. Squawk 0057.
Whoops. How do I actually don't know how to squawk on this plane. I'm going to go ahead and give the AI control of my comms.
Squawk 0057 Cessna 649er.
I don't know where that is.
Cessna 649er radar contact 1 miles west of Charlie 16,
Oh, there it is. I see it now. I
1,600
could
feet.
have done that.
Altimeter 29.85.
Altimeter
Copy Cessna
2985.
649er.
That dialed in.
Champagne Approach Cessna November 75649er. Request clearance to transition Charlie Airspace.
Cessna November 75649er Champagne Approach. Cleared through the Charlie airspace.
Just getting a glimpse of the city here.
Cleared through Charlie Airspace Cessna 649er.
This is all kind of campus town area. Downtown is right in here. My house is somewhere right around in here. Feet heading for 4,200. And I'm just kind of headed out over toward the interstate here. This is kind of the interstate out of town, so I'm going to be generally following that up to Bloomington. Bringing the throttle down, going pretty fast. I think think I want 2200 RPM, 152, as I recall. This is a big Kraft factory right here. Yes, Kraft macaroni and cheese. And my house, it's a railroad track, so my house is going to be right kind of in this area, somewhere in there. And no, I'm not going to give out my address on Steam or on Twitch, but I do in fact live in that general vicinity. Here is, let's see, there's the Schnucks that I shop at. Here's the Planet Fitness I go to. I already kind of passed my work building. Right below is Parkland College. It has a great radio station. That's kind of all I know about Parkland. Although I did go to the planetarium there once. That was pretty cool. I like a good planetarium experience. I'm a bit of a astronomy guy. I really love space. I need to focus a little bit more. 3200, headed for 4200. Interstate is off to my right a little bit. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to Central Illinois. We do lots of agriculture. Mostly corn and soybeans. It's the red basket of the world. So I'm getting right to that 4200 now, and I'm going to lower my RPM a little bit, just kind of get into a cruising mode. Is right ahead of me. That kind of area to the right, lakes and some development, that's Mahomet, Illinois. It's kind of the, kind of a suburb of Champaign, Urbana. A lot of people live there, but work in the CU. Been through there a couple times. Well, I mean, I drive through on the interstate all the time, but I've only been in Mahomet itself a couple times. My doctor is there. I've only gone to the doctor once, and it was just, I reached 30 years old, and I thought maybe I should start having an annual physical. It's free anyway with my insurance. So I went there. It's been about a year ago now. Not quite a year. It was late February when I went. The other thing that had happened is I had gone skiing in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And Jackson Hole, unbeknownst to me, is an extremely difficult place to ski. I hadn't skied for like 10 years. Jackson Hole hosted the Olympics some years ago, and it is like mostly black diamond type stuff, and my knees were just destroyed by skiing there. So they were hurting very badly, and So one of the things I really wanted to do was talk to the doctor about anything I could do to help him heal, because I was just limping around everywhere. And he basically just said it might take 5 or 6 weeks, but it should just heal on its own. And that is pretty much what ended up happening. But yeah, lesson learned. I'd been working out, and I had been like focusing on leg day leading up to that trip, but lesson learned, I was not ready for that trip. Not even close. And I'm really not sure if it was just the skiing in general that, injured my knees, or I did fall a couple times. And so I was kind of thinking maybe it was one of those falls that did it. But I'm really not sure. I'm trimming out my plane right now, so that's why I'm kind of diving all over the place. I haven't really gotten the hang of using the trim buttons yet. I know how to use a trim wheel in real life, but using it on a joystick is tricky. Just adjusting my mic real quick. I want to make sure you guys are getting my voice well enough. The interstate, just kind of right off the nose here, going off into the distance. We're just going to head along that, and it should be pretty obvious when we get near Bloomington. Bloomington is about the same size as Champaign, 150,000 people, I believe. And technically it's just like Champaign-Urbana, it's another twin city. Technically it's Bloomington normal. Usually you just say Champaign or you just say Bloomington, and because those are the larger of the two twin cities, and the other one kind of gets forgotten. I think the population of Champaign is 88,000, and so that leaves about 60,000 for Urbana. I think Bloomington normal is kind of a similar ratio. Can't do much in the drone camera with this plane. It's pretty stable right now, but I'm pretty nervous about leaving a plane that doesn't have an autopilot system. Someday I'm going to have to learn how to do ILS approaches using these are VORs. Yeah, I need to learn how to do VOR stuff. Wait a second, what is this? I actually don't know what this instrument is. Maybe you just dial in a heading and then just head toward it? I'm not really sure what this does. DF. I don't know. There's stuff I gotta learn, that's for sure. Unlike my flight in Munich last week, I think I for sure have enough gas for this one. Got another small town here. So there's Champaign, this is Muhammad. This might be Fisher. This is kind of due west of Muhammad. I think it's Fisher. track the further you get away. Champagne. Ran tools up to the north somewhere. That might be it. Yeah, I think that's it. Right there, maybe. Kind of a gray patch in the distance. It's just a beautiful clear day, which is pretty much exactly what the weather was when I took my trip. Celsius. I don't remember. I think that's the current temperature here. Like, it says live, so I think that's live today, not live as of December 2nd. Not totally sure. I haven't figured out how that works. What I should do is dial the date back to sometime in the summer and see what the temperature is. It'd be asking a lot if it was, like, holding a record of the temperature. I actually think that I can see the rabbit flashing way off in the distance there. Yep, that's the rabbit. So there's the interstate going off, but I'm just going to go ahead and head straight toward the airport. A little bit above my cruise altitude. I don't think there's any reason why I shouldn't go ahead and contact the controller either. I'm not totally clear on the protocol on that. There's one called Oink Anchors. Oink Acres, whatever that is.
Tower Cessna November 75649er is 22 miles southeast with Alpha to land.
Cessna November 75649er Bloomington Tower. Fly left traffic runway 20. Altimeter tree 0.02 and 220 1 tree.
Enter left traffic runway 20 Cessna 649er.
Altimeter dialed in there. Turns out I'm quite a bit higher than I thought. Trim that out a little bit. And so he gave me a left traffic for runway 20. So I'm going to open up my map and make sure I know where that is. So left traffic for runway 20 means the pattern is course left. I'm going to basically enter at midway, down the downwind leg, and come around onto base and final. And pretty convenient, that rabbit I'm seeing is right here at the threshold to runway 29, so I can pretty much head straight toward that rabbit, and that'll give me the perfect place to enter the pattern. And now that I look at this, I'm thinking this right here is probably the this ring probably indicates the airspace surrounding the airport. In other words, that's the point at which I would need to contact the tower. But I got that out of the way early, I guess. Left a little. Right there. That's perfect. Traffic pattern altitude. I don't have it. Why not? I got some time to kill. Let me try to get a chart open. website was that? I know there's a website. It's like, yes, I think it's Sky Vector. That looks familiar. Should probably put this on screen, but I don't have my my slobs set up to do that very easily. But basically, it's just skyvector.com. You get a giant map, and you can click on the different airports, and it tells you all the information you could ever want to know. And in fact, way too much information than I am even comfortable looking at. Should be a pattern altitude. Left traffic is current for, hold on, runway 20 is 8,000 by 150 feet. Concrete. It's got different weights. Your weight class. Obviously, I'm pretty much the lightest plane out there. Elevation is 856.4. Tora, I don't remember what Tora stands for, but it's the runway length. And then here's my approach: 1,400 foot, medium intensity. Oh, so I think, yeah, I'm remembering this. It's if you're, depending on your, I think the intensity refers to kind of like the class of airplane you have. So the minimum, or the medium intensity is for medium-sized planes. And then for high intensity, that's like your, jets. So I have a 1,400 foot medium intensity approach. So I'm going to get a little bit closer, and then I'm going to drop it down to 1,400 feet. And yeah, it says approach lighting system with runway alignment indicator lights. So I have, a PAPI system. And there's a note here: 40-foot power line, 2,007 feet from the runway. And I do remember that. There are some very tall power lines right around this airport, which is kind of unfortunate. Transmission lines. But what can you do? So I'll want to be at 1,400 feet when I hit that downwind. So when I feel like I'm getting a little closer, I'll start to descend. I'm still pretty far away still. Just looking out here, we have some nice modeled windmills, and I can tell you it is completely accurate. There are tons of windmills in this area generating power and power and money. I don't really care what anyone says. I think windmills are a beautiful sight. Solving a major problem, putting people to work. Really no downside. You can complain all you want about the noise or whatever it is, but the fact of the matter is that they're on private property. Whoever built them owns that land, and they can do what they want. And if they're not complaining, then why should you be? I'm kind of slowly descending here, which is fine. I drive to Bloomington, I always take an exit through the village of Downs. There's another way to get into the city, but you end up having to backtrack to the airport, which is kind of on the outskirts of town, so it always makes me exit at Downs. I don't think this is Downs. I think Downs is a little bit closer to the city. And yeah, it doesn't look like this. It kind of, you go through, you know, the little downtown area, which is another project my work is doing, incidentally. And then you kind of go into a kind of a ravine. It dives down pretty quickly, and then you come back up as you get toward the airport. So I'm thinking Downs may be up there somewhere. Downs, yeah, I think this is Downs. There's an interchange right there. I think there's Downs. Come down, and I think you take this road up and around. And use a road comes this way, past the airport, and you get back into the airport from that side. Wandering to the right. I'm not sure if that's P factor or wind. I am definitely getting closer, so I'm going to go ahead and dip my throttle just slightly. Let myself descend toward that 1400 pattern elevation. So I definitely see that rabbit, but I don't really see my runway. I think I'm pretty much straight perpendicular to it right now. I'm not totally sure. Okay, yeah, I can see it. It comes off this way and heads up that way. So I'm on a really good course right now, I think. As I recall, you're supposed to enter at kind of a 45-degree angle. Once I do get on that downwind, I'll go ahead and hit my first level of flaps. Doesn't sound like there's any other traffic right now, which is convenient and also kind of a bummer. I like to see other traffic. Yeah, so here's Downs, I believe. Bearings. I think, yeah, this is Downs right over here. That's where I get off on my exit, come through that downtown. And there's kind of a road that comes along here and eventually turns onto this main road, goes up this way, and you do in fact go right through the rabbit, which crosses the road, and then up and So here I am. I am 2,400 feet, still got 1,000 to go. It's okay, I think I'm doing fine. I'm going to throttle down a little bit more because I am high and fast still. And I'll get a little closer and then I'll want to execute my turn to the right to get into the downwind leg of the pattern. That control tower, I believe, is in the totally wrong location. The control tower is really up in this area somewhere. I don't think it's there. And go ahead and make my turn. That's looking pretty good. Get down to flap lowering speed. Lower my throttle even more. Okay, flaps are coming down, throttle's coming up to compensate.
Cessna 649 are cleared to land runway 20. Wind 223 at 8.
There is my landing clearance.
Clear to land runway 20 Cessna 649er.
Head this way a little bit just to give myself some distance to get lined up nicely. 1,400 feet seems a little bit low to me. Altimeter 3002, let me make sure I got that. Yep. It just seems low, but it's definitely what they said. Start my base leg. Starting to wonder if the 1,400 feet wasn't 1,400 above the runway elevation, which would make it 2,200 feet. So the runway's at 800 something. That would feel more right if I was up at 2,200. I just feel really low right now. It's fine, like, I don't think it matters, but oops, a little bit off here. Way a little more. It's not the best pattern I've flown, obviously. I'm gonna go ahead and get that second notch of flaps going. And that's more like it right there. Lined up with 2-0, cleared for landing. Flaps are full, gear is down and also fixed. Flaps are not full, now flaps are full. targeting 60 knots for landing. I don't really see any PAPI here, but that's fine. It's a massive runway for a small plane like this. Might try to get that first, or I guess second taxiway, but no, I'm gonna shoot for midfield because I have to get all that way anyway. And this is, so here's the parking lot. That's where I always park when I travel. And I come down this road here, turn right here, and sometimes I turn in there or go down one a little bit further to a different entry. Plenty of runway to work with here. No need to rush it. A little bit of a flare. And a nice smooth touchdown.
Cessna 649er exit runway when able.
I thought this was another taxiway. That's okay. I'll cheat. I'm gonna take it.
Cessna 649er contact ground on 121.65.
121.65 for Cessna 649er.
Bring my flaps up. Don't need those anymore. Why? Where is it telling me to go? It's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm gonna exit here. I've never seen planes that large at the terminal, I can tell you that. Usually just CRJ type stuff comes into this airport. Okay, tune to ground please, co-pilot. No? Can do it myself.
Ground Cessna November 75649er, request taxi to parking.
Cessna November 75649er taxi to General Aviation parking using taxiway Bravo.
Taxiing to General Aviation parking via taxiway Bravo Cessna 649er.
And that's it. Pretty easy flight. I'm at about 1 hour right now, so it took a little longer than I thought, but I didn't exactly take a totally straight line, so that's probably one reason. So my next flight is from here, Bloomington, down to Atlanta, and that's a pretty long flight. I'm going to be using the Citation because it's the closest thing to a CRJ 900 that I have in my catalog. I don't really want to pay $40 to get a CRJ 900. Just doesn't really seem worth it to me. So I'm going to use the Citation, but that will still take a couple of hours for sure. So I need to decide whether I want to try to find a time when I can do that and kind of just let things run, or if I want to figure out how to really use the simulation rate system. I know in this game you can increase the rate of your simulation, so I could, cut down that 2 hours to, let's say, 1 hour. And there's no way I'm going to make it past those planes on that side. So I'm going to go over here instead. Oh man, that's a crowd. What are we doing, guys? I have to come this way. It's really crowded. I don't know what to do about this. Everybody's just standing around. Yeah, this game really has not figured out the, oh, that's so close to taking that guy's head off. This game really has not figured out the, airport traffic situation very well. Hopefully they're still working on it a little bit, but it's hard to say. Yeah, this guy's just gonna have to get sacrificed. Just right above her head. I think she was fine. Here we come. Nice of them to give me help with a 172. And here we are. Parking brake is set, and I will secure the aircraft. Flaps are up. Comms are fine. Shut the engine off first. Parking brake is set, and battery is off. Flight is complete. So, yeah, that's it. Like I said, next time is Bloomington to Atlanta. Need to figure out how I'm going to do that. And, yeah, so this is just leg 1 of 6 of this Thanksgivingmas travel tracer. If you watched, I hope you enjoyed. And whether or not you enjoyed, I hope you have a wonderful evening.